Good morning, or whatever time it is for you. This is a quick demo. I'll try to keep it quick on HTML, CSS, Jquery. Here is my final code that I wrote that utilizes, of course, HTML, CSS styling, and Jquery animations, which is, in my opinion, the most important features or technologies behind most web pages these days. So let's get started. I'll be toggling between Dreamweaver and my browser, and I'm basically just looking at the file on my local drive. Obviously, once you create something you want, you upload it to a server that's on a domain name, and so everybody can see it. But right now we're just working between Dreamweaver and my browser. So here is the code stripped out. Obviously, this is a blank framework of an HTML document. The anatomy of an HTML document is you have the head, you have the body, and then you have your HTML document, which starts with HTML and then ends with the close bracket. So for every tag that you open, you close it, and it's the tag, the / character. So both of these, or all of these, are open and closed, and of course the head and the body is within the HTML tags. The head is critical because it gets loaded first before the body. So you put specific code in there like scripts and stuff that you want to load first. For this demo, yes, there's a few things in there that are loaded first. So if I were to open this page right now, so I'll toggle to this one. I've got actually two files, and I hit refresh on this. You can see that there's nothing there because in the code there's nothing there. No styling, nothing. So I already wrote the page that I just showed you, and I'm just going to undo some of the code in order that I wrote it. So first and foremost, I undid some comments. Comments are critical for when you're coding. They help you when you've been out away from a page that you've written, and you come back in and you see these comments that tell you kind of what you were thinking and what you did with your code, so that it makes it easier to come back in and make modifications and so forth. Also, anybody who comes in after you. So comments are critical. Alright, so one other change, and one of the things that's critical, is always having a title. And so within your head, you then specify your title. So if I hit save now and go to my page, up here you can see that there's no title. I hit refresh, and now it has the title. So that's where that is displayed. Alright, so I hit undo again, and here I've added within my body several div tags and classes. Basically, my body looked like this before, just like that, right? And so I added a class to my body, and then I've added div tags. Don't worry about the classes right yet because we haven't defined these classes. We will define classes within our style sheet. So the hierarchy of this is there's div tags within div tags. So let's strip this out so you can see what's working here. Alright, so you have a div tag with the class background. And then within that, we have another div tag called container. And container is used just to center the things on the page, and I'll show you that in my style sheet. But that sometimes you have to put div tags within another div just to get them centered on the page, and that's what the container class is. And a lot of people call it container because it's exactly that. It's like a jar that holds things in it. So within our container class, we have 4 other classes, and you saw the animation at the beginning. It had an eye, a nose, a mouth. The first, second, third divs here are those items. The last one is the quote from Steve Jobs, which is title header, which probably is not an appropriate name, but keep it that. And then I had the final statement that said go for it. Okay, so if I hit save now and go to this page, we will see the text, and it's not formatted. And of course, there's no graphics, there's no design, but you see that you do see some of the elements here. It's mostly just the text. So now let's undo one more. Hold on, I'm just going back in my div undo list. Okay, so now we had the classes that were specified in our divs. Okay, and now we basically have pasted in our style. This is CSS. Okay, so this is the next language we're learning. Cascading style sheets, and this is everything within what defines your page's design. And style is, again, another open and close tag within your head, just like the title was. Okay, now I'm using Dreamweaver here, and see what's cool about this is that it color codes these different languages, classes, and so it makes it easy to read. This file, however, is just a text document. It could be opened in Notepad, okay? But HTML editors make it easier to do commands, and you have shortcuts, and you can pull up code pretty easily. It even recommends code as you're typing, that kind of stuff. Alright, so I paste back in all my classes that I've defined earlier. And, you know, each of them has a number of different specifications or styles. And they're all, I wrote these out separately, and there's like thousands of styles out there, okay? So I'm not going to go into detail on every single style here. I'll kind of give you a quick overview, but for the most part, these styles, as you start designing your page and trying to position things and move things and design them, you're going to start getting to know these as you start building your pages more. Basically, if you remember the eye, here, let's toggle to my final product here, or final. Now the animation stuff we haven't learned yet. That's not CSS. The animation is Jquery. We're going to learn that the last step. But all this stuff here is all defined in my style. The boxes, the color of the borders of the boxes, the width and height of the boxes, and of course the images within them. Okay, and of course the background graphic. So we go back to the style, and the first div is the eye. The second div is the second and third are the mouth and nose. And I set the width to 30%. I set the height to 256 pixels. I just came up with that. Now, when you set the height or the width to be 30%, that's kind of a responsive design, which is kind of a new technique, meaning it will shrink down as if they are viewing it on a browser versus a tablet versus iPhone or a phone. So 30% will scale the image width-wise. Now you do set a max width so that if the browser is really big, it doesn't go too big, bigger than the image itself. Now the image, all these images I just found on Google. I just did a search for an eye, and if we go to my browser and open a new tab and I paste this in there, you'll see that it's an eye. Just, you know, and I did the same thing for these the nose and the mouth. Okay, and pretty much these items have the same style. One thing's different is the border around it. The color's different, and this uses hexadecimal as the colors. I know designers know plenty about that. And here's my container tab that goes around my divs that I was just talking about, and this basically just centers it. I'm using text-align center, and it centers it. It sets the width to 100%, the full screen, and so that we want those items to sit in the middle of the screen. The background class here is the beautiful sunset. Okay, this right here is basically telling it to go all the way across the screen. This right here is saying, okay, I only want the width to be 400 pixels. Okay, margin top, bottom, left, and right. You can kind of position it. We don't want this up the flush up at the top of our browser. We wanted it 100 pixels down. Okay, the title header is, like I said, not the best name for it. It was a title at one point, but now it's the quote. It's the Steve Jobs quote. And so we specify font size, font weight, font family, and basically what happens here is, you know, different computers have different fonts, so it says try Arial. If they don't have Arial on their local machine, try Helvetica. If they don't have either Arial or Helvetica, everyone will have sans serif. So it's kind of it goes through those, okay? And then the color of the font. Again, this is hexadecimal, this is abbreviated, but once you just do 3 and if FFF, that's going to be white. Okay, I have a text shadow on the font so that it can be seen. There are text shadow generators out there. That's all you got to do is search on that, and it gives you a WYSIWYG on how to get the exact shadow that you want on your text. Now I'm missing a semicolon. All these have to have semicolons at the end, so I was missing a semicolon there. My body background, which is that blue. Let's go back. There's my tab. Oh, screen right here. Yep, the blue, the dark blue there. Again, that's hexadecimal. Okay, and my final statement that says go for it. That's got some different font specifications. This one I'm actually telling it to position absolute. So it's actually absolutely positioned 280 pixels from the top, 100 pixels from the left. I have it a little bit opaque, so I'm setting the opacity to 0.7, which makes it kind of see-through a little bit. You can do that to a background, anything. I set the letter spacing slightly bigger, so it makes the letters spread out a little bit more. And that's for this right here. Go for it. Okay, so if I save this now, and hit refresh, am I on the right one? No, I'm on this one. Okay, so everything's there, but you don't have the cool fade-ins, nothing. And the last step that I'm going to teach you is the Jquery. Jquery is where we're going to fade in the stuff and make it all look cool. All right, so let's toggle back to our code, and I'm going to hit undo. Just never mind those undos. Okay. So Jquery, just like I put in my comment, here is a powerful framework that allows you to do cool animations and fade ins with little effort. And so we basically include a script on the internet. This goes to jquery.com that pulls over the engine behind all this cool fancy animations. And so basically, you know, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You don't have to like come up with your own animation scripts, which could be a lot of work. In fact, let's just look really quick at all this code that you would have to write to do what we're doing here. So if I open up that script, look, it's tons. I'm just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. That's tons of JavaScript, and they've written it for you, and we just call on different objects from it. And it's a very common practice that people do nowadays. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. That's the beautiful thing about how we are progressing. Alright, so what I do have to do is write a simple script that basically is jQuery that says, okay, when the document's ready, let's perform these things, okay? So what I'm doing here is hiding these elements because I do have them shown in line. Let me do one other thing here in my stuff. I have everything showing because I wanted to show everything just static on the page. I have to go into these items here. Instead of having them display block, I'm going to have them hidden, which I'm going to say display none. Okay? And in the jQuery, we're going to actually tell them to be shown and fade in. So right now, since I've just hidden the stuff, if I hit refresh here, now the items are hidden, okay? Except the background. Oh, am I on the wrong page? I must be. Did I say that? Anyways, none. Oh, that's because we have the jQuery stuff here. All right, let me take this out because I just want to show you that when I set those to none, nothing shows. See? So jQuery is making it come back in. So let's push this back in. Okay. So again, we hide the elements. Those three are hidden because I have them displayed in a row, and so you have to hide them first. The others, we already have them set to hide, so we don't have to hide the others, okay? And so basically what we're saying in jQuery is delay 1/10 of a second. Basically all these numbers are in milliseconds. So 1,000 milliseconds is 1 second. So 100 is a tenth of a second. So after a delay of a tenth of a second, fade in the background. And 10,500 would be 10.5 seconds. It fades in. Then after 3.5 second delay, fade in the eye. 6 second delay, fade in the nose. 8.5 second delay, the mouth. Okay, and then after a 10.5 second delay, the title header, which is the Steve Jobs quote. Okay, then at 15,500 milliseconds, which is 15 seconds, we're then going to fade it out. And I'm just fading out the container, which the container contains the quote and all these items here. So they all go out together. And then the background gets faded out. And then the final statement, which says go for it, gets faded in. And that's it. So we hit save and we hit refresh. And voila. We fade in the background. Here comes the eye, the nose, the mouth, the Steve Jobs quote. Makes you feel good about yourself. And then go for it. which is a word from our sponsor, Nike. All right, 20 minutes, or yeah, 20 minutes. I didn't want it to go that long, but I feel like there's a lot in there. Let's just take a couple more minutes to look at a few other items. I'm going to add on the eye. I'm going to add real quick here. I'm going to go first div. We're going to do a hover. And when we hover, we're going to change the border 10 pixels solid, and I think it's like a red. I can't remember what color it is, but we're going to change it to white. Okay, so we hit save. He hit refresh. Now when I put my mouse over the eye, it changes the border to white. See that? So that's how you can interact with these things. You see these are square. Another cool little style is to do a border radius. (10 pixels). Hit refresh. Now I only did it on the first one. Oop. And you'll see that the edges are round. Okay. You can put 150 pixels on there, and it's going to turn it into a circle. Hit refresh. Sweet, huh? Also, there's so many other things I can do here. Obviously, when you want someone to click on something, you want their mouse, cursor, that's what it's called on here, to show a pointer. Let's say if you really want them to click, let's say the element could have an anchor to another page. So watch my mouse, it will change and tell the user to that it's clickable. Obviously, if I click on it, nothing happens. So that's it in a nutshell for now. I could go on and on. But if you see anything on a web page, you can right mouse click on it and do view source. So basically everything we've been doing in this tutorial is right here. This is the code. Every web page you can view the code. Another cool thing is you can highlight and say inspect element. Okay, and watch, it's going to go right to that element. Final statement, go for it. Another cool thing is you can actually turn off, look, see, go for it. I'm going to turn off the font size. Look. So you can even play around in this. Look, now I'm going to double click on here. Wait, I guess Safari doesn't do it. I think in Chrome you can double click and say I want the font size to be, oh, there it goes. Yep. See, I just changed the font size to 44. I can change the area, take Arial off. Okay, there goes the times. Okay, so you can do all this stuff. I can make it not white. It goes to black, which is default. So within the browser itself, it's pretty cool to inspect these elements on other pages, see what they're doing, and go in and see the style right there and add it to your own code or steal their code, do whatever you need to do. Alright, well that's the tutorial for today. If you find this useful, I'll come back with even more details with more cool stuff like forms where they can fill in their name and then you can validate an email address or something like that. So that could be my next tutorial. So let me know and I look forward to your feedback. Later.